It's vegan recipes with Pat and Emily.
Today on It's Vegan, I'm going to show you how I develop a recipe right on camera. I looked in the fridge, I had some ingredients, and I figured out what I could make from it. I hope you'll enjoy the trip. I looked through the refrigerator and I saw that I had mushrooms, spinach, onion, and garlic to use up. What I decided to do was turn that into a delicious dish of mushroom spinach roll-ups. I will be chopping all the vegetables and sauteing them and getting them ready to turn into those delicious roll-ups. Many times for my mushrooms, I want them really small and more like a crumble, but this time I'm not going for that look. I'm just going to chop them small. You can see the technique. I really should be rocking my knife, so I just changed that. I'm piling up 2 mushroom slices at a time. You could use whatever mushrooms you have. These happen to be portobello slices. It's just what I had in the fridge. As usual, I will cook my mushrooms a little bit dry, so I will start with the mushrooms first, and then I will add the onions to this mixture, and last will be the spinach. Okay, I'll be back when they're finished. The skillet's preheated, and I've added the mushrooms. I wanted a larger skillet so I could have some stir space with it. While these are cooking, I'm going to chop up the onion and garlic. For the onion, I'm holding it in my hand and making slices. I'm turning it and making slices. That knife wasn't as sharp as I like, so I went back to my larger knife. These slices aren't extremely fine, but they're on a smaller dice. For the garlic, these are just tiny cloves. I'm going to put them underneath my chef's knife, and that will help me peel them. You can see that I'm just doing some rough chop on it. Doesn't really need to be minced at this time. Back at the stove, you can see how the mushrooms are doing. The liquid's starting to come out of them. Now I'm stirring in the onion and garlic. While this is cooking, I'm going to be chopping up the spinach, which will come in last. I will season this with some salt and some pepper, and that's all for right now. Just keep stirring it every now and then. For the spinach, I'm going to try to squeeze it together and just put rough cuts on it. By the way, this is baby spinach, so the leaves are not very large. I'll put that aside and do the rest of the bag. See, the mushrooms and onions are cooked just the way I would like. And now I'm adding all of that spinach. Now let's give it a stir. Look how nice that's coming. And I'm turning down the heat a little bit, and then I'm adding a lid to help that spinach wilt. This is how it will look when it's fully wilted. There's just a tiny bit of liquid left. I'm going to leave it as is, and then I will package this and put it in my refrigerator till tomorrow when I want to finish my dish. So tonight I've come home from work and I'm going to finish up those spinach mushrooms roll-ups. This was the vegetable mix that we made last night. I'm going to pop it in the microwave to heat it up, and then we'll move to the stove. At the stove, I will be working with several pots. So I've got my boiling water for the lasagna noodles. I'm going to put them in there. It's up to you if you want to add salt to the water. I'm not. I think there's enough salt and other ingredients in this recipe. And I will be cooking them according to the package direction. Next, I want you to take a look at this little skillet. I'm going to be toasting some walnuts with smoked salt. You can get those going and just keep giving them a little stir every now and then. I want to make sure these noodles get into the water. I'll keep pushing those down till they get soft. The next thing that we're making is a white sauce. I'm putting a little bit of vegan butter in my skillet. I'm adding my flour. I'm going to try to get the flour incorporated into that butter. Now normally you would be using probably 3 times that amount of butter. So this part of the recipe, between the nuts and this white sauce, there is only 1 tablespoon. Now I'm adding the seasonings. See, it's kind of crumbly, and I will be adding my milk slowly. I'm using hemp milk right now. You could use any type of vegan milk that you would like. So I'm going to stir a little bit in. Keep your heat turned down a little bit. And I'm not stirring in this full amount. I want to leave about a half of a cup. And as you can see, I'm getting clumps, so I will be getting a different stirrer. I've got a little wire whip here, and I will get that all broken up. The reason I'm not adding all the milk is I will want to thin this later to make a sauce. This portion I want to be very, very thick. You can see those lumps are breaking up. Just keep stirring it. You'll see they'll be fine. And we will be bringing this to a boil and then turning it down to make sure that it gets bubbly. As you can see, the sauce has gotten bubbly. My burner is still so hot that it's making it continue to cook, so I lifted it up. Definitely don't want to scorch this. At this point, I'm stirring in some nutritional yeast, and I'm stirring in some vegan mozzarella shreds that also have some vegan Parmesan cheese in them. I just want that to all melt. I'm going to totally take it off the burner because it is just still so hot that I don't want it to continue cooking. I've taken out 2/3 cup of the sauce, and I am now going to stir in the remaining amount of vegan milk. I want this sauce to be a little bit thinner. That looks perfect. And also my nuts were browned, so I've taken them off. It's time to put together our roll-ups. Here's my casserole dish, and I'm spraying it with Pam to help cut down on the sticking. That's going to be your option. And then I have the thinner white sauce, and I'm going to put the majority of it in the bottom, but I'm saving a little bit to coat the top. Just spread it around a little bit. You can kind of shake it. All right. Now I'll start with the roll-ups. Lay your noodles out. Some of them picked up some of the vegetables because I was sharing a spoon. The first layer is going to be the very thick cheese sauce. I placed it on a plate, and it's not thick enough to actually slice, but because I want to make 6 roll-ups, I'm putting little marks in it to help me distribute the ingredients. Now we will spread this. I'm not coming to the very, very edge on the ends because when we roll it, that'll help hold everything in place. Just keep doing this. I can only fit 3 noodles on my plate. If you need a little bit more sauce, you can pick it up off the plate. Now what I've done with the vegetables that we heated, I also am putting little lines in it so I know where 1/6 is. Just start with, just stick it in the middle, and then you can spread it out. And you can see, when you didn't pick all of it up, just go back into the bowl and get the rest of it. Spread it out nice and even, just coming close to the edge but not all the way to the edge. And you might be thinking, oh, I could use a little more filling in there, but when you roll this up, this is actually about the amount that you're going to want. And then when you roll them, just start at one end and roll them. And again, you can see it's nice having no filling on that. I will place this in my dish with that top side down. I'll show you one more. Very simple. I'm not squeezing it too tightly, and then I'm putting it right there. I have all 6 roll-ups ready, and now I'm taking the sauce that I have left and I'm putting it on top. Just get all of that sauce out of your saucepan and put it on top. Now I'm going to cover it with foil. I will bake it about 20 minutes covered, and then the last 10 minutes I'll take the cover off and let it bake without a cover. It's been baking about 20 minutes covered, so now I'm going to take the cover off and bake it for at least 10 more minutes. It's time to plate this gorgeous dish. So I've got some hot pizza sauce. Then I'm going to try to get one of my roll-ups out. So come underneath it gently. Set it right in the middle of that yummy sauce. The next thing that I do is I have some fresh basil that I've chopped up. You could always even use a little bit of parsley if you prefer. And then the toasted nuts. If you want, you can always have a salad on the side and put in a slice or 2 of bread or garlic toast. I want to show you when you cut into it, that's what it looks like. Get some of that delicious pizza sauce with it. The creamy sauce with the cheese in it is so mellow, and the nuts on top just add a really nice crunch. I know it seemed like the video was over, but I had some leftovers and I want to show you what I did with them. I took a roll up. I'm adding a little bit of water. I'm going to microwave that and heat it up, and then I'm going to show you how I serve the leftover. So here's what happened next. I have my hot roll up. Get it out of the dish. I'm just going to leave the water in there, and I put it on top of cold stewed tomatoes. It was so good. So I'm just recreating it for you to see. Added a little bit of the nuts that I had left over and some sweet basil. You are going to be surprised how delicious this is over stewed tomatoes. I like the hot roll up with the cold stewed tomatoes. Just gives a lot of texture. The variety and temperatures is great. Please subscribe and hope to see you next week.